Junk Aristocrats player left in the top 4. William Jensen, with his 5th consecutive top 8.
The tallest Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd believe it. I don't know for certain, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that's likely.
Yeah.
Remember Huey though, going still for his first SCG trophy.
Yep, absolutely. He's put up lots of good finishes this year. Actually, how many points do you get for semifinals? Is it 12? I believe it's 12 because if he got 12 for finishing second or top 4, he has locked up 2 buys at the Invitational.
Yeah, I believe he has at least enough for the 2 buys at this point. Which is,
he had 96 before this round, or before last round.
So yeah, and that's a pretty sweet place to be this early in the season to already have all your buys for the Invitational locked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else he can even get with the points?
I think after 2 buys, I think that's the end of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just crushing. I wonder at what point there's a soft ban where like Huey just agrees to not, just crush every single one of these.
Well,
I think at some point it's going to spark something where Jerry and Todd start going to all the events again, because they want to, take back their little, take back the
SCG
spotlights.
grinder crown.
So it sounds like you get 10 points for 3rd, 4th, which means that Jensen's at 98.
All right,
98 points.
So it's this match here. This match is for the second buy.
If he wins this match, he will have the 2nd buy.
That's just really impressive to have it this early.
More weight.
Yeah. Remember, Huey is the overall 1 seed. As a result, he will be on the play here. Jeremy Crawley, the 4th seed.
Yeah, it's times like this where you're kind of like, I'm kind of glad I didn't draw into the top 8.
Yeah.
Getting to go first against everybody is pretty sweet.
Yeah, him having that extra round really turns out to help him.
And Jeremy Crawley, though, from, what is this, Grand Junction, Colorado?
Yeah.
A beautiful state full of very, very wonderful people.
Also where you're from, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or currently living at the
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Detroit? Another wonderful state
another
full of wonderful
one.
people. Jeremy Crawley, I think he knows that there's, it's no accident that the camera keeps ending up on Jensen tonight. But I think Crawley, if nothing else, super comfortable in the Jund match. I mean, that's the one he's tested against the most. It's the one he's played against the most this weekend. And even though a lot of Jund players would like to play against the, a deck full of creatures, it is a matchup that Crawley has prepared for and succeeded against. And maybe it's the little things like the Desecration Demon, but it also might just be the amount of resilient creatures he has.
Yeah. So, Crawley's deck, I want to look at that a little bit again. We saw that he had Desecration Demons currently in his deck. Outside of that, it still looks to be, it's still mostly a stock Junk Aristocrats deck.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an extra Abrupt Decay, but for the most part, he's pretty baseline, pretty normal. I mean, he's got Scavenging Ooze in the sideboard. I don't know how common, who even knows what Junk Aristocrats looks like these days, but I guess this is it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the other big thing is obviously a couple Young Wolves. Not everybody plays Young Wolf.
Yeah, I know a lot of Junk Aristocrats pilots will talk about Young Wolf saying they really dislike the card. They play it because you have to play it. It's that Doomed Traveler number 5 and 6 that you don't want, but you play. It looks like to make room for the Desecration Demons, he's shaved a Skurstog High Priest, End of Rolls, and a Lingering Souls.
Interesting.
So not cutting anything entirely, but just kind of playing Demon on the fact that it's really good against Jund.
And it gives you a different dimension, a different way to, a different game to play. It looks like everybody's shuffled up, although Huey going to 6.
All right.
I assume, right?
Yep, I do believe Huey's on. Yep, Huey's on 6. Crawley has kept his 7.
I'm wondering how many people at home are picturing William Jensen, like a trophy shot with William Jensen. Like, we're gonna get one eventually, right? Like, he keeps showing up to these things.
If he keeps playing, it figures that he'll eventually get one.
But Crawley, I'm telling you, this is the matchup he wants. He just wants to face Jund. Better to face the enemy you know. All right, Huey. We got after a Snulligan, we got a Sneep. Turn 1 Stomping Ground. a good stable mana base could go a long way, but mulliganing is a little bit harder here just because these aristocrat decks have so many ways to generate multiple creatures that it can sometimes be a little bit of a strain on your resources. One big weakness of these junk aristocrat decks, though, Olivia Valderin. If Huey can find an Olivia Valderin, basically Jeremy's he's got a very short amount of time to try to find one of his 4 tragic slips, and then it's curtains.
All right, so we see just 2 lands from Huey, no Farseek starting out, and Crawley is going to has the first aggressive play. It's the Temple Garden into Young Wolf.
A very aggressive play, reminiscent of Sam Black circa February of 2012. Cartel Aristocrat, also reminiscent of Sam Black. We've got the potential. What do you think? Does he sack the wolf here just to increase his clock? He does not. He would prefer to have the extra body.
Here. Interesting. I mean, it's actually pretty close, right? Because John doesn't play very many true sweepers.
But here's the thing: all the spot removal isn't very good against either the Cartel Aristocrat or the Young Wolf. But if you use it, now you're turning on that spot removal. As it is now, Crawley has a great curve, great aggression. He's got all his colors. He's got, this is going to be a very, very tough game for Huey, who has not yet played a card, and we're going on his 4th turn.
Yeah,
now.
Huey's going tap land, casting Wolf Run. Now he's up turn 4. There's another tap land. He's passing back again. Remember, Huey was on the Maul to 6 here. I mean, it looks to me like he kept a hand that's heavy on lands, light on action, assuming, lands are a good place to be on a mulligan.
Part of it is that he's got Mizzium Mortars. And that doesn't, it's, a dream someday, but that doesn't really do very much against Crawley's deck.
Yeah, Crawley hasn't actually played a card that you want to Mizzium Mortars yet. You don't want to hit Young Wolf.
Yeah.
You don't want to hit Cartel Aristocrat, because that's basically the same as hitting Young Wolf.
Yeah.
You don't want to hit a Lingering Souls, because that's like hitting a quarter of a card if you hit a Spirit Token. And I'm not even sure you want to hit Voice of Resurgence, because that actually makes a 2/2 into a 5/5 right here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm not so sure that Crawley's deck isn't a small favorite against Jund, because every time we watch, it seems like the Jund players' cards are a little slow, and the removal is a little bad.
All right, so turn 5, Huey's going to make his first play of the game. That's going to be a Thrag Tusk. Thrag Tusk figures to do a fair amount of work here. Granted, Crawley always has cards like Blood Artist, which he could just draw and really put the game out of reach for Jensen.
So it looks like he's got a Tragic Slip now, giving him even more options, but he may just save it so that he has insurance against Olivia.
Yeah, so he has Tragic Slip,
He
Sorin.
doesn't have another land.
He's going to go ahead and swing the Voice of Resurgence and 2 Spirit Tokens. Looks like he just wants the Voice to get eaten, and Huey will oblige.
I'm kind of curious, why not just swing with everything?
That is a good point.
Even if you block the Cartel Aristocrat, you can still sack, the Wolf or something.
Well, basically, if you swing everything,
Sacrifice the Doom Traveler.
Yeah, Huey has the choice between eating the Young Wolf or eating the Voice of Resurgence, because everything, if he tries to eat Cartel Aristocrat, he'll just get the Young Wolf.
And why even attack with the Voice? You could always just sack it to the Cartel Aristocrat.
Yeah, if you want it to turn into the Star.
Yeah.
I would agree. So Huey untaps. He still has 5 lands. He's going to go ahead and cast Bonfire on 2.
Yeah, and so now we're going to see the Elemental die, when if he had just kept the Voice, threatening to sack it on the end step, he would still get one.
Yeah, so, the Elemental, no, you're right, it will die, because the Young Wolf and Doom Traveler, while they do make another creature, there's this split second where they're both the creatures aren't in play yet. And at that point, the Elemental will be a 2/2 with 2 damage on it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, that's a potentially catastrophic gaffe, because you always had the option of just doing it later.
Yeah, so you feel like he shouldn't have cashed out the Voice of Resurgence on that last turn?
Yeah, it's one of those, you're so far ahead. Outside of the fact that he didn't gain anything, you're so far ahead, you got to play around the things that could actually meaningfully interact with you, like Bonfire of the Damned.
And now he draws the Blood Artist, just a turn too late there. He's going to go ahead and cast it. He still has a pretty decent board presence, but certainly not what he had a turn ago.
Yeah, he still has the advantage without a doubt. But Huey is getting back into this. Huey's mana is still not perfect. A couple of Kessig Wolf runs, only 5 land, but he's making some plays. He's got to solve a lot of problems before he's back in this, but he does have a Mizzium Mortars, which could go a long way if he can get 1 more mana. He also has an Olivia, but the Olivia doesn't really do anything considering Crawley actually has a Tragic Slip. Huey's got to bide some more time. He knows he's still up against the wall, but he's seen the first crack in Jeremy Crawley's armor after a very impressive curve of Young Wolf into Cartel Aristocrat into Lingering Souls, and then continuing more and more pressure.
All right. So, yeah, Jeremy refuels here. Huey, having hit 5 mana, made first a Thragtusk, then a Bonfire for 2. He's going to need a little more. We do see he has an Olivia Voldaren in hand, and what appears to be a Mizzium Mortars.
And a Tragic Slip, I think.
So a lot of removal here. He just really needs to protect his own life total for a while. He's going to go ahead and make the Olivia.
And as a note, he has only 1 black mana, so not only can he not hold up Tragic Slip this turn, he cannot steal anything.
Yeah.
He can still shoot things left and right, though, which is good enough. Like, that's the ability that actually beats these Aristocrat decks.
Yeah, so Huey not out of the woods just yet. Jeremy Crawley does have the Tragic Slip for this Olivia. Granted, Huey has a replacement Olivia, but his life total is going to get awfully low here.
Yeah, particularly with his Blood Artist continuing to just make every exchange very profitable for Jeremy.
All right, so we see Overgrown Tomb into play tapped for Crawley. He's going to go ahead and sacrifice the Doom Traveler to Cartel Aristocrat. That's a drain for 1. I believe the Aristocrat's going to get protection from green here. So he's going to try to swing it past the Thragtusk.
Yep, then we're going to see a Tragic Slip on Olivia.
All right, so that's another drain. Huey's at 11.
And then the Cartel Aristocrat and 1 Spirit Token will be able to get in.
Yeah, that puts Huey down to 8. And Huey getting very close. He's in a lot of close being in a lot of trouble here. Jeremy immediately could drain Huey all the way down to 4. He has 4 sacrifices that he could make.
Yeah, and if Huey Bonfires or anything along those lines, or Mizzium Mortars, for instance, he's going to take 5, putting him at. He's going to take 4, putting him at 4, and be still facing a Cartel Aristocrat.
All right. So, draw for turn.
He could really use. He could use another Thragtusk, just get a little breathing room.
Yeah, looks like he hit a Woodland Cemetery for the turn. That does give him enough mana to play Olivia and use Olivia. He has a second one in his hand.
Which might be just the best thing you can do, so that you can shoot that Blood Artist, just get things under control, you know?
Right. I mean, it's going to get Huey really low on life, but at least he does it before there's a full 8 damage of creatures. So I think,
how much shooting do you think we're going to see, though?
Well, we see at least 1. As he taps 4 for the Olivia, and I have to imagine that shoot is going at the Blood Artist.
Now, if he lets it just be the 1, Huey will be at 7. On Crawley's turn, he can play Sorin, make an emblem, attack with his, have his Young Wolf make his Cartel Aristocrat, protection from green, attack with his guys, and force through minimum 4 damage. Not enough to finish the job yet, though.
Yeah, so the Cartel Aristocrat sacrifices Blood Artist to deny the 1/1 counter. Huey will drains for 1 more point down to 7. But now with the Blood Artist gone, there's a little bit of reprieve. He can't just, sacrifice all his things.
Yep, it's a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, there was some discussion as to whether or not the Blood Artist was sacrificed or died. Went for the die, but no, it was sacrificed to Cartel Aristocrat, so Olivia's still just a 3/3.
So it looks like Abrupt Decay probably not doing anything in this position. The question is, what do you do with Sorin?
Right, so Temple Garden for Crawley. He's going to go ahead and tap 4, go for Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. And I would have to think this is an emblem here.
I mean, if he makes a vampire, the Sorin is just going to die because Olivia is going to shoot both flyers and attack.
Right.
And it can also shoot, like he's got enough red mana, he could also shoot that vampire, and then he's nowhere near facing lethal. So yeah, it's got to be the emblem. It's the only thing he can do that even makes any progress.
All right, so he's going to go ahead and make an emblem. And it looks here like it's going to be Cartel Aristocrat trying to get that remaining 7 damage through. The question is, how many times can Crawley give it protection, to deal that remaining damage? He has Huey at 7.
Now, if you would have made the token, I guess you don't get any counters on Olivia, so the only way you're going to do enough damage to actually kill Sorin is with Kessig Wolf Run. You wouldn't really get to do it this turn, but you wouldn't really get a chance to make an emblem either. You would just be stuck with a Sorin at 1 counter.
Yeah.
We have an update on the other side of the bracket in the Jundamir match.
Zachary Jeffers is up a game right now in Ian Browning. Zachary was the number 7 seed. Currently played a Jundamir in the top 8, up 1-0 in the Jundamir again.
So Jeremy decides to crash in there. What do you think is going to be the outcome of this attack?
Well, I'm a little interested by it. It depends what Huey blocks. So Jeremy's not giving Cartel Aristocrat any protection.
I actually like it better this way. Yeah, I like it better because,
I think you're right.
Because Thragtusk, if it blocks the wolf, is going to die, and if it blocks the Cartel Aristocrat, it's still going to die, and you can sack the spirit that's fighting Olivia to give the Aristocrat protection from green, so you're not getting anywhere.
And now Huey's going to be sure to put the Thragtusk in front of the wolf. I think he wants to take as little. He wants to go to 3 instead of going to 2 here.
Well, he's going to take 5.
Yep.
So he's going to go to 2.
Going to go to 2. You're right.
Yeah.
So trades, looks like Crawley just lets the trades happen.
Now, what's so scary about this position, if you're William Jensen, is nothing because he's without fear. But what you have to respect in case of the potential for losing the game is that Cartel Aristocrat and the spirit token are both. Every creature is now
lethal.
is a lethal threat.
So the scary part is Cartel Aristocrat is going to be decently hard for him to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what he can do is shoot the aristocrat one time, see if there's a response, then shoot it again, see if there's a response, then shoot it again. So he can deal with the entire board this turn.
I think he's going to go ahead. He actually has the tragic slip there.
Okay, yeah, this works too, and this just saves him mana.
I think he could have He could have shot the spirit token first.
Well, it works either way.
No matter which way he does it, the 3 activations should be enough to clear the board.
Right.
And now with the board clear,
And Olivia hungry.
Huey is in a driver's seat spot. We see a Voice of Resurgence drawn.
Doesn't
for
do anything.
Crawley.
Yep.
He's gonna have to draw a Blood Artist here for the remaining 2 points.
Yeah, but he could potentially do it, because if he gets a Blood Artist and can kill it with Abrupt Decay, I mean, that's only 1 right there. He's got to find another point of damage.
Well, he plays the Blood Artist.
He probably needs to Abrupt Decay the token, though, just to buy himself some time, and he can't handle Olivia feeding off the Beast token, like shooting it over and over and over again so that he gets really big really fast. I think that if you don't kill the Beast token here, you're looking at a 2-turn clock, whereas if you kill it now, at least it's going to take 4 attacks before you die.
All right. We'll see how he plays it out here. You're right, that last 2 points, remember, the only real burn he has, in a sense, is going to be that Blood Artist. But with so much mana on Huey's side, it's really hard for him to get 2 activations off a Blood Artist.
Yep. And there's really not a lot of other things. Like, he doesn't really have a lot of other plans besides, I mean, I guess, so he's got Tragic Slip. He could, he could try to rely on Tragic Slip, but even that is tough because Huey is going to do everything in his power to just steal creatures instead of shoot them whenever a Tragic Slip is a factor.
All right, and so the Beast token was Abrupt Decayed, but not before Olivia was able to get 1 counter off it. She's now up to a 4/4, and Huey starts to pull away with the Huntmaster of the Fells.
Very, very big. At this point, Crawley now has to be on like a Tragic Slip type of plan.
So if you want to go back in this game, how much of this game, there was the turn early on where Crawley just made a 3-creature attack. Remember you said, you were really surprised it wasn't a 5-creature attack?
I mean, it would have done 3 extra damage.
All right, so kind of one of those game of inches situations. And
wow, what an impressive comeback. This was that game that looked completely over on turn 5.
Right, and so we see Gavany Township drawn for Jeremy Crawley, but with no creatures left, that's going to be of little help to him. He is at 12 currently, and if he doesn't play something, he's actually dead on board next turn unless he casts a spell.
Yep. What does Crawley have in his sideboard?
Yeah, why don't we taking a look at the sideboard here. He has, for this matchup, he has Lifebane Zombies of his own, which actually take out Thragtusks and Huntmasters, so they don't seem like the worst. He has a single Appetite for Brains. He also has Sin Collectors and Scavenging Oozes in his sideboard.
Yep, a lot of decent cards.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of decent cards. I don't know if any, real hard hitters in the matchup.
No, but some decent ones.
Yeah.
And on Jensen's side, he has 2 Golgari Charms, which are just huge. 2 Pillar of Flame, which are decent. It's possible he brings in the extra Tragic Slip. But that's about it. He doesn't really have much else. Unlike some of these other Gen decks we've been seeing, Jensen with 0 Ratchet Bombs to help him, get some points against tokens.
Okay, so we saw there a flashback of the Lingering Souls that Crawley had from a while ago, and then Voice of Resurgence. A little bit I'd forgotten that there was that Lingering Souls there in the graveyard.
Just lingering?
Yeah. We didn't have that back on that Blood Artist turn, did we?
He didn't have mana.
Okay.
But 9, yeah. Do we still have enough, though? I guess we don't.
All right.
So he's got 1 more turn. The question is, how can he arrange his affairs in such a way so that a creature dies, so that the Tragic Slip he draws can actually kill this Liliana, or this Olivia?
All right, so swing from Jensen is going to be 6 in the air from Olivia, 2 more from the Wolf token. That will put Crawley down to 4.
What do you think about this leaving just 1 creature home? I guess it works fine because the Huntmaster's going to flip and shoot the Voice, right?
Right, so then Voice, the token doesn't have haste.
but the token died on Jeremy's turn,
Right.
which means Tragic Slip could kill Olivia.
Could.
The problem is
He has
the
a
hunt
4/4 trampler.
Yeah, and a Kessig Wolf run and a wolf.
Okay. Oh, and okay. So the Castlegar Wolf runs. Yeah. That. I don't think there's a draw he has here that works.
Yeah.
All right. So upkeep Crawley's voice turns into into an elemental token, into a 1/1, which is now a 2/1 thanks to the Sorin emblem. And he draws a Young Wolf. All right. Plays it.
We go to game 2.
Goes to game 2.
William Huey Jensen taking a 1-0 lead versus Jeremy Crawley and his Junk Aristocrats deck.
Yeah, and a game that actually looked like it was really favoring Jeremy early on. He had that, Huey with no plays until turn 4. Really on the back foot, was able to just stabilize at 2 life and eventually take the win.
Yeah, so far, that was a pretty impressive series of plays there from Jensen, who did not give up, despite the fact that he had no play on turn 1 or 2 or 3, and was looking at a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, then multiple creatures on turn 4 and 5, where it's just like he's just getting flooded, overwhelmed. And it was one of those situations where even though he set up a bonfire, his opponent still had an entire army afterwards.
Right. So we just finished game 1 of the semifinals, which means
Absolutely.
it's time to do another trivia. This
Absolutely.
one's going to be for 6 months of Star City Premium, and we're actually going to do a trivia question about one of our top 4 competitors. So it's not about a Jund deck, it's going to be about Jeremy Crawley's Junk Aristocrats deck. So for 6 months of Star City Premium, what we're going to ask you is, what black 4-drop was added to the Junk Aristocrats deck to help with the Jund matchup?
What black 4-drop was added to the Junk Aristocrats deck to help with the Jund matchup in Jeremy Crawley's deck?
In Jeremy Crawley's deck.
That is a wicked one. That is a demonic question you would be asking right now.
Certainly, yeah.
I cannot believe that you would do this. You would defile almost. You would do this to our trivia challenge. But since we're here, that's the question. Tweet at us at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium, and get paid if you know the answer.
We will announce the winner at the conclusion of the top 4. And with that, we're going to go ahead and head back into the match. We have Crawley on the play here as he lost game 1. We talked a little bit about the sideboard here. Crawley with a lot of cards that can be brought in. Lifebane Zombie can be used. Scavenging Ooze is a fine creature. Sin Collector can get a lot of the answers that Huey has. Appetite for Brains is a possibility. Duress is a possibility. If you're Crawley, which of these cards do you like?
I think Lifebane Zombie, Sin Collector, basically just the discard effects. The discard effects are probably the best you can do, and then I think you need the stuff like Putrefy just to give yourself additional answers to Olivia.
Okay, so you like the Putrefy, you like the Lifebane Zombies, you like the Sin Collectors, things like Scavenging...
And Appetite for Brain.
And
too.
Appetite for Brains.
Absolutely, all the discard stuff.
So things like Scavenging Ooze, Garruk Relentless...
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think what you want against Jund is a Scavenging Ooze. Garruk Relentless, it depends how, one of the nice things is that it is better against fighting Olivia than it would be in most matchups, because he has so many sack outlets that potentially he could get into a spot where Olivia can't get any counters.
Right.
It's a little slow, but I wouldn't mind, because at the end of the day, all you really want is ways to fight Olivia. It's the only card of Jensen's that's really effective against you.
All right, so kind of interesting. So in a deck that says synergistic as Junk Aristocrats, while it's important to talk about what cards you bring in, it's almost more important to talk about what you can afford to bring out. If you over sideboard, your deck doesn't actually work. Looking through his list, I know a lot of players say that they board out Young Wolves almost all the time.
I don't know. Sometimes when I hear that, though, it kind of makes me think. It reminds me of the people who would board out Ponder. It's like,
why would you board out Ponder?
Because they're like, oh, what's it matter? It's just, and they would just board out cards like Ponder or Preordain, and it's like, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
People do that.
Why would you do that?
People do that. You're telling me you haven't seen people do that all the time?
No, I have seen people do it. I've seen people play lists with 3 Ponders in it, and I just don't get it.
Sometimes you only have room on your curve for that many 1-mana cantrips or whatever. But if you feel like your deck is supposed to have Ponder, I wonder. Maybe
supposed to have Ponder.
The thing about Young Wolf is, if you're taking it out, it's like you're thinking, okay, it's not high impact enough, but like,
why is it in your deck?
Well, okay, I could see against a blue-white deck that isn't actually ever going to kill the Young Wolf. or it doesn't kill it very often, you're like, okay, I can't, you know, I don't want to give you this. But against a Jund deck, which has to try to kill your creatures.
Right.
All right.
It might be if you're going for a game. Let me throw this one out. So say you have this high synergy game plan, and you say, I don't really think this is going to work post-board. I want to just play only like higher impact creatures because I want to make cards that he actually has to answer. And you kind of abandon, you know, that really high synergy game plan. You know, sometimes maybe board out some Blood Artists, maybe board out some Young Wolf. Like, is that a situation where now you can board out some Young Wolves? You're not going for that real fast sort of kill.
I guess I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're even trying to do. I don't know what that deck looks like, but if you're boarding in enough cards, maybe you end up like, yeah, I just want to beat him with Varls, Voice of Resurgence, Desecration Demon, and Lingering Souls, maybe Sorin, backed up with lots of spot removal and discard. I can see you switching gears. And if you did that, then Young Wolf would be pretty close to the top of the list of ones to board out.
All right. So it looks like both players are on 6 cards here, I believe. Kind of, you know, a little bit of joking there. Crawley quickly mulliganed, Huey quickly mulliganed as well.
Yeah, we have a term for that, snulligan, the snap mulligan.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful word there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience to have when your opponent does it.
When your opponent does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both players continuing the laborious shuffling required in Paper Magic. I wonder, when are we going to be able to just push the button, like get
Push
the
the
Moto
shuffle
Shuffler?
button, yeah.
It accomplishes
Oh,
two
man.
things. One, it'll save us a little bit of time, and two, we can all get mana screwed more.
Yeah, that'd be a really popular suggestion. Yeah, let's use the Moto Shuffler in real life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people would go for that.
Turn 1, Godless Shrine, and obviously, for what it's worth, the Moto Shuffler
It's
is it's more random than random.
It's more random than your shuffling by hand, almost certainly.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Temple Garden and Godless Shrine making a turn 2 Cartel Aristocrat with nobody to protect it yet, which means that Huey has an opportunity if he wants, and he ships
But
the
he doesn't
turn.
take it, so Huey, swamp into Dragon's Skull Summit, no plays yet.
Well, he's got Doomblade, which is not the kind of answer you need for a for a Cartel Aristocrat.
Yes, unfortunately, it is a white creature, but it is also dark. It is also a black creature. We see a follow-up play of Varolz from Crawley. So now kind of both the sack outlets, which both help to protect each other on the board for Crawley. So you saw before, so Huey with a little bit of slow start here and no green mana.
No green mana.
To be fair, last game he had a slow start, did just fine with it. This seems a little more awkward to me because we see in his hand he has a Garruk Primal Hunter. You know, a long ways off from casting that.
Absolutely. And from the looks of it, things are just going to get worse with Jensen unable to make any plays at all.
Yeah, so Crawley with his 5th land goes ahead and attacks
Bonfire for 2.
Yep.
That's not bad.
Attacks for 2. He's going to Miracle a Bonfire. The
Surely
Dam.
save the Varls.
Yeah, so it's unlikely that Crawley can save both. He just has to choose between Varolz and Cartel Aristocrat, and as called, he goes ahead and saves the Varolz.
And Varls is about to become a 4/4 when he scavenges the Cartel Aristocrat's fetid corpse.
Yeah, well, what's huge here is that there was no other land for Huey. To be fair, there is one argument for saving the Cartel Aristocrat, and that argument is Putrefy. Varolz can't save himself from Putrefy. Cartel Aristocrat can, but I agree with you here. He has Huey down to 6. He has a real low life total going on.
Well, particularly since one more hit is lethal now.
Yeah. So,
Or very nearly. I guess you need one more creature.
So Huey with a ton of cells, he has a Huntmaster Thragtusk. If he can hit a green this turn, he may have game. He does hit a green, but it is Rootbound Crag.
Yep.
It's not going to come to play untapped.
Yep. And we have another Blood Artist, which is game over.
Yeah, 2 Blood Artists in play and a Varolz. Pretty hard to deal with.
Kind of surprised. What do you think about Doomblade still being in Jensen's deck? It doesn't hit Varls,
Yeah,
it doesn't hit Cartel Aristocrat, it doesn't hit Desecration Demon,
It hits Voice.
it doesn't hit Skarsgård High Priest. It really doesn't hit anything except the Elemental token.
It hits Voice of Resurgence and the Elemental token. I don't like it at all in the deck. I'm very surprised it's still in.
But it may have also just been that he feels like he needs a critical mass of things to get rid of the bodies, you know? So we move to game 3 after a lightning fast beatdown by Jeremy Crawley against a mana light William Jensen.
Yeah, looks like Jensen kept a hand thinking this is this curve of Huntmaster and Thragtusk will be pretty good if he hits a green. It's a gamble. Didn't work out.
Yeah, he had Doomblade. He had a Huntmaster. He had a few things, but I guess he didn't want to go to 5. Still, I'm kind of surprised to see the Doomblade at all. And even like the stuff coming in from the board, the Sin Clutcher, the Lifebane Zombie, that's even more black creatures coming in. And some of the creatures we talked about going out, like Young Wolf, not you know.
Yeah, it's not like you even want to Doomblade a Young Wolf in
Well,
the first
the
place.
second time, like if you happen to hit the backside, at
That's
least
fine.
it's something. But first of all, it's not even a good deal for you, and second, it's probably boarded the Young Wolves out.
Yeah, so
I think that Doomblade is pretty close to a trades with an elemental token type of card, possibly, obviously, a Lingering Souls or the Voice on the front half, but.
So we do see here is doesn't look like Huey has changed his sideboard at all right now. So he's gonna go ahead and keep the Doomblade for game 3, just shuffling up and representing.
Meanwhile, we didn't really see anything unusual out of Jeremy that game. Just classic, just beatdowns, you know.
Just game 1 cards.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of RLs out of him this weekend, but that's largely because the standard version, he's down to just 2 in order to help make room for things like Desecration Demon, compared to the block decks, which always use 4.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the curve of the deck. You know, if you want Desecration Demons, you probably can't go with too many Varolzas or Desecration Demons. I mean, 2 of them at the same time, otherwise you start changing the curve of the deck. We also saw, you know, fewer Sorens in the deck, fewer Lingering Souls. Looks like he's still trying to keep the curve relatively low.
Yeah, very disciplined. I mean, he's got his Young Wolves in there. He's got, what is this, like 19 2-drops? Yeah.
A ton. Yeah.
Oh no, 15. Yeah, 15 2-drops and then 6 1-drops. So definitely lots of cheap plays.
All right, so going on to game 3, this is Jund and Junk Aristocrats, William Jensen and Jeremy Crawley. Top 4, winner will move on to the finals.
This is it. This is for the rights to play for all of the marbles.
So we see a keep from Huey, keep from Crawley. We have 7s both sides. Overgrown Tomb, the first play for Jensen.
Absolutely. It looks like another Overgrown Tomb, this time on Jeremy Crawley's side.
Yep.
Jensen
and
with
a
yet
third
another
Overgrown Tomb.
raise. Re-raise.
We might even see.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
Crawley
there was
with
one.
I know. Your hand slides towards it, but Voice of Resurgence coming down. Not a great thing for Jensen to see, and we still don't see any red mana this time.
Yeah, this time he's stuck on red. Last time he didn't have green. We see 2 Overgrown Tombs in a Woodland Cemetery from Jensen. He does have that. Looks like he has some Thrag Tusks in his opener. He drew a Bonfire that turn, but yeah, no red mana yet. He's a little bit on the back foot.
Yep. And obviously wouldn't have miracled that turn anyway, but we're still looking at a spot where Huey needs to draw red mana in a hurry, because this Aristocrat deck can beat down pretty fast and hard.
So we see Lingering Souls from Crawley.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Huey draws a Scavenging Ooze, is going to get to eat Lingering Souls, but with no 4th land, he's in a little bit of a tight spot here.
Yep.
All right.
A single, God, if he's got, even next turn, if he just draws a red mana next turn, but if he can keep that Scavenging Ooze in play, it does make things like Lingering Souls, Vorals, just slightly weaker cards, plus all the things like Young Wolf, you know?
Yeah. That said, Huey probably only has about a 1-turn window still to hit this red before things start to get really bad. Maybe 2 turns. Crawley's going to go ahead and swing the whole team. Happy to trade Voice with the Ooze. Huey won't do it. He drops to 14.
Yeah, with the Demon coming down now, I think it's now or never.
Yeah, things are
he needs
really
a red
looking
mana
dire.
right now.
And doing that miracle-style draw. I
Looks
don't
like,
think
is that a
he
tragic
hit it.
slip? It is a tragic slip.
Yeah, so he has a second. It looks like he has a Putrefy in hand. Maybe a Tragic Slip.
Putrefy at least buys him another turn. I think if he's got Putrefy, at least he can kill the demon. And if he putrefies the demon now, yeah, you might as well.
He has to do it now because there's
Ooze.
Voice of Resurgence in play.
Yeah, and the Ooze might as well attack, because if it's not going to block, you might as well do something.
Right, so Huey putrefies the demon, but attacks with Ooze. Crawley's at 18. Huey's going to go to at least 10 this turn, if not more, if not lower.
Yeah, probably exactly 10, but I think we might see an Abrupt Decay on the Scavenging Ooze and a Varls.
Yeah, so Abrupt Decay takes care of Scavenging Ooze, leaving Huey with a completely empty board. Swing for 4 drops Huey to 10. And I think exactly what you said. We have another Overgrown Tomb into play, untapped, putting Crawley to 16, and Varolz will come.
Yeah, I think at this point, he's got a couple tragic slips, so it's not completely over. But my goodness, does he need red mana?
Well, especially, there's this play where Varolz gets to scavenge the Desecration Demon onto something.
Yep. So there's a swamp.
That's a pretty big game.
So at this point, he can't really cast anything other than those 2 tragic slips.
Yeah.
So his game plan's pretty much got to be wait for Varolz to scavenge the demon onto something.
And that's so terrifying, because if he wait, he's going to have to do this main phase, the slip a token, slip the Varolz. If he waits to do it on Crawley's turn, then there's going to be 2 elemental tokens on Crawley's side.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to do it now.
Yep. All right. So now he's facing 3 more damage, and Crawley with lots of more gas in the tank. Is that a Tragic Slip, a Doom Traveler, and a Cartel?
To be fair, if Huey can survive to, make a bunch of Thragtusks time, he's got a shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Not a great one, but there's a chance if he can mash a bunch of Thragtusks.
So he's facing lethal now.
And the draw is Overgrown
So it is
Tomb.
Thragtusk.
He's going to have to take 2 to play it, so it drops into 5, then up to 10 to cast the Thragtusk.
I would be impressed if William Jensen wins this game.
Yeah, he still doesn't even have the red mana.
He barely can live through this turn. But you're absolutely right. He's got a lot of high impact cards for this particular matchup. He's got, like for instance, in his hand, if he draws red mana, he's got Bonfire, he's got Huntmaster. He's got some goods. He's just, he's several clicks away. He needs Crawley to brick on action for a little while.
Things just as simple as, a removal spell here are really lots of trouble for Jensen.
And we have an update on the other side of the bracket.
Yep, Zachary Jeffers and Jund so far moves to 4-0 in games in the Jundmere. He is in the finals.
And he, from the looks of it, he won't be waiting long one way or the other, because Jensen, up with his back against the wall in the deciding game of this semifinals match between Jund and Junk Aristocrats.
It looks like the remaining cards in Crawley's hand are Godless Shrine and what I believe is a Tragic Slip, so he does have that removal spell.
But what is the best way to maximize it?
Right.
He's got to be asking himself, all right.
So this is on end step. He's sacrificing. Is this main phase, or I believe we are?
Looks like it must be main phase because his land
he's
is all
untapped.
untapped.
So he's gonna go ahead and
Which
main
means
phase.
it has Summoning Sickness.
Make the elemental token.
So
Swing
Cartel Aristocrat
team.
and Spirit Token knock Jensen to 7.
Yep, put that Cartel Aristocrat with protection from green. Opts not to Tragic Slip there, and now we see the red source from Jensen.
Interesting. Is it Dragon Skull Summit?
I think it's a Blood Crypt.
Yeah, because I know 4 of his red, so much more of his red comes into play tapped in this position or deals 2 damage. And every life point matters so much right now.
Yeah, well, Huey has a shot. Yep, it is a Blood Crypt.
So if he takes 2 from the Blood Crypt, he'll be at 5. And if he bonfires, he can sweep the board except the Aristocrat and a Spirit Token.
Right.
Which,
those 2 together don't deal 5. So that may be enough.
At least he lives.
Yeah, he's going to swing the Thragtusk, puts Crawley to 11.
He plays another Thragtusk.
Puts
Love
himself
it.
to
Even
12.
better.
And so that's kind of what we were saying when he didn't have the red mana. I said, hey, if he can just play a Thragtusk every turn, is that going to be enough? It looks like it might be.
Plus, he doesn't have to take the shock damage either.
Yeah.
And if he draws a land next turn, hell, what if he miracles a bonfire? Dude,
I mean, I don't even know.
How is this? Wow.
And he stays
This is
alive here.
unbelievable.
I think, and I'm even going to say, I think he's the favorite right now.
No.
You don't think? Yeah. With the pair of Thragtusks, Crawley trying to find a way to get 11 damage across, to get 12 damage across.
Wow. This is
huge.
Hall of Famer William Jensen, ladies and gentlemen. My God. What?
So you see a sacrifice from
These.
Doom Traveler.
Yep.
Pro green, 3 more damage. Huey will drop to 9. Crawley with what looks to be a lot of good attacks, except that we know that Huey has this Bonfire of the Damned in his hand.
I know, this bonfire is going to be devastating because Crawley's been doing all this main phase sacrificing stuff.
I'm going to see Bonfire on 2. Huey can't pull the trigger right away.
Well, it's not game over though, because Tragic Slip is gonna save him.
So you can go ahead and pro red for 1 Cartel Aristocrat. Cartel Aristocrat gets pro everything. Everything but the Aristocrat's dead. Crawley's going to drop to 9. And he has to Tragic Slip here to stay alive, so he'll only go to 4. But Huey with that 3/3 blocker and and we know Huey actually has a Pillar of Flame in hand, so he has what should be a lethal swing next turn.
Unbelievable.
Tragic Slip drawn from Crawley, that I don't think offers any help.
Now the Cartel Aristocrat cannot sacrifice itself, right?
Actually, sorry, it's Lifebane Zombie, not Tragic Slip. He sees the Huntmaster of the Fells, but the other half, Pillar of Flame.
But that means he lives to the turn again.
Yeah. With that, Crawley can't really attack the 3/3 and 5/3.
Yeah, he sees he's dead to the board if he attacks.
Yeah.
There are a ton of win the game immediately cards.
And Bonfire the Damned, the most straightforward of them.
There's a GIF for you.
All right. I know you're accused of saying it's going to deal the damage to you.
Impressive. William Jensen.
All right. So,
William Jensen.
so William Jensen moves on to his third finals appearance in the last 5 SCG Opens that he's